cancer. Oh, cancer's such a bitch. Oh, we can't stomach cancer. It's getting on our tits. With Vez and Liv.
Hello everyone. On today's attempt of navigating the shitstorm, is someone...
We're talking about surgery. Clearly Liv has not recovered from her drugs and is still living in a dream world of not knowing what the hell is going on.
I wasn't sure if that made sense in English.
That was
like...
excellent. What an intro. But we are. It did make
We're
sense.
here.
We're talking about surgery. And it'll be as nonsensical as they come because surgery is not fun and you're very delirious the whole way through.
I mean, if you live, it's quite fun. Because the only pain you get is from eating your toast too fast, and then your stomach bloats up, and then you're in pain and you need morphine. Because you didn't need morphine because you had brain surgery. You need morphine for your bloody stomach, you greedy bitch.
Well, luckily you didn't projectile vomit everywhere. I'm very glad you didn't do that.
No. That was the first time, Vez. So, you're quite the expert on the old surgeries.
Oh, if I do this to myself. All my backlog of surgeries and slices. Yeah, so it's quite interesting for then you to have fucking massive surgery that I've no experience of. I was there like, okay, you're just going leagues above me now. You can take control and sit in the captain's chair. The only thing I remember saying to you was like, just be prepared for your surgery to like potentially get cancelled if there's not any beds, because my situation was mine got cancelled because there weren't any beds, and then yours got cancelled because of COVID, and then yours finally happened, didn't it? And you were second on the list, weren't you? And you had to wait until like 4 for the operating room to be free, but then otherwise it breezed after that.
I mean, I was convinced I was gonna die, don't get me wrong.
That's what breezy death.
On the surface of it, I was all very positive and everything like that. But deep down, I was like, oh my God, am I going to die? Because I went, like, before the first surgery was going to happen, I was really, really nervous. And then before the second one was, like, the second booking that happened, I was just so calm and so, like, chilled about it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, am I going to die? Because otherwise, why am I feeling so calm and chilled about it? Whilst everyone around me is losing their shit and panicking.
Weird. I think it's not. I mean, in our experience, we would definitely want the surgery to go ahead the first time it's booked. But there's something to be said for that time in between where you feel like it's like we talk about time all the time, ironically, of not having enough of it or like potentially being limited, and so you're grateful for any extra time. But I think I had a 2-week period in between my cancellation and my new date where that wasn't anticipated. I thought I'd just be ill. So it was almost like I'd been granted like a 2-week holiday to do literally whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And by the time my surgery came back round, I did have that calm. I was like, I've done all this before. The only thing I haven't done is the surgery, but I've done the bowel prep before. I know what to expect from that. I've done the not eating, even though it's horrific. Horrific. I tried to say horrible and then ended up thick on it. That was weird. Even though it's horrific, not being able to eat because I'm a pig and I love eating. So that 24-hour period of not eating was horrible. Because like with yours, you can't eat. You have to be nil by mouth before surgery anyway. But because yours wasn't your stomach and it wasn't involving like them they had to handle my bowel as if it was a sausage. I reckon they were just like pulling it out and being like, ooh, feeling along it, which is really weird. But because it was the nature of mine, I literally had to have completely empty digestive tract. So I had to like basically have bowel prep and shit everything
it all out. Yeah.
But that was really problematic because all your electrolytes go down, like every bit of vitamins, anything that you absorb from food, you're just emptying all of that. So I can't remember what it's called. I think it's diurolite.
Yeah, diurolite.
But yeah, where
disgusting.
That's what you're allowed to drink because it replenishes everything that you kind of lost. But they obviously don't recommend bowel prep unless you literally need it. So me having done it and then it getting cancelled, then having to do it again, I was there like having a freak out, being like, I've lost all my body like good stuff. twice. So, but yeah, that 2-week period in between, I mean, you obviously had COVID going on, so you kind of had to just stay home anyway and make sure you were negative for your next one. But for me, I went to Alton Towers, I went gliding, I basically packed in.
Had the time of your
with
life,
adrenaline,
basically.
which made it really funny. After I woke up from my surgery, the guy, obviously, like the anaesthetist came, who was it came round? I think he was, he must have been like the bowel doctor, because my anaesthetist is Ruth and she didn't talk to me. So it was someone talking to me about managing my pain. Don't remember a thing. But my parents say I'm hilarious on drugs. So he said, how are you feeling? Are you feeling sick? Do we need to manage your sickness? And I launched into a whole story of why I felt sick. And I was like, now you need to be aware, doctor, that I do feel sick, but it is not because of the surgery. Here is what I've been doing the past week. And I detailed everything. And I was like, so actually, I might be feeling slightly sick from the fact that you've cut inside me and ripped everything out and put it back again. But let's be honest, it might just be Nemesis on Alton Towers and all those loop-the-loops that have my stomachs doing somersaults right now. And he just looks at me like, what the actual fuck, are you okay? So I think they gave me extra.
She's still high.
Anyway.
Put her down.
But so yeah, that time in between your surgeries, you do have a weird calm of like, you have extra time to wrap your head around it. So as shit as it is,
mine wasn't calm because my arm every morning was just going.
I mean, you had horrible side effects.
Mine was a very nerve-wracking time because I was there like, my tumour's growing. It was growing. In hindsight, I wasn't wrong, but at the same time, turns out when you're on steroids, you're not supposed to be drinking herbal teas, like all these random herbal teas. Because some herbs like interfere with the drug. So I wake up in the morning, have my herbal tea, then go have my breakfast, then have my steroids, and then take my steroids, and then my leg starts twitching, my arm starts twitching, and then I go and shit it all out, pretty much.
So that's natural.
And get explosive diarrhea.
Science.
Yeah. And then I'm going there like, why are my steroids not working anymore? Oh my god. Oh. And then, I didn't have a fun time for those 2 weeks at all. Because I was just there like, I just want this tumor out. Like,
we led very different
bloody
lives.
COVID as well. Everything just like, and like, I wasn't like super negative about everything. I just tried to stay calm and be like, it will happen when it will happen. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And I know that once I got the new date, then it was like, okay, let's start the countdown again. And then like, it's easier when it's just, not knowing is difficult.
Yeah.
And I did have a little blip when I cried my eyes out a little bit. But check out my vlog,
which is on the vlog.
Keeping it real.
Yeah. I think that's the only, like I said, we've said that we experienced weird calmness before our surgeries. In that 2-week period for me, I said that I did a whole lot of fun stuff, which you didn't obviously get to do. But you mentioned you were worried about your tumour growing, and I think that is the worst thing, is when you have a date and you're like, okay, whatever my tumour size is here, it's coming out anyway, and then suddenly to be told, no, the date's here now, you then got to contend with the fact that you're like, I don't know how quick it's growing inside me, what happens? Like for me, my surgery was done when they thought I had ovarian cancer, and the protocol is very different. So for ovarian, they will always try and remove everything and then blast you with chemo. For sarcoma, their protocol follows Ewing's sarcoma, where you would give a bit of chemo, shrink a tumour that's usually quite sizable, then do surgery to remove it, and then follow up with more chemo. So because I had ovarian, obviously they went for opting to kind of do debulking surgery and fully get everything out. But so with ovarian, they have this weird, I can't even remember, it's almost like a document thing where it details everything, and they basically say if you can't remove everything, don't remove anything, which is really weird to wrap your mind around, because I obviously knew I had a whole spread of disease that was like 20 tumours, say. And there's like this weird sugar analogy, whereas if your tumours are spread out like sugar grains or sand, you're not going to be able to remove everything. And if you're going to leave a little bit of disease, there's no point removing anything at all, because, and in my mum's head especially, she's like, well, you're leaving disease there, that's bad. And that's all she can think about, that it's bad that the disease is being left. And then it took me a while to understand that actually it's probably worse living with, because obviously everyone knows there are side effects and there are consequences of surgery. You get adhesions, there's complications that can happen. There's always a risk of death usually. So any complications that happen in the surgery, it's actually better to have, well, not better, but preferable, I guess, to have disease in there that's potentially not fucking you up as much as a complication would. So I was thinking, shit, my surgery's been cancelled. What happens if I was in a position today where they could remove everything, and that's great, and then I can move on? What happens if in 2 weeks one has just grown slightly annoyingly in a really annoying place, because they were all around my aorta artery. So they spent like 2 hours trying to remove one. And I was thinking, if that had grown in those 2 weeks, meaning that they couldn't remove that one, they wouldn't have removed everything, and I would be in a completely different position.
Yeah, that's difficult to deal with,
it's a weird thing to think about. Whereas now I have no clue what position I'm in with sarcoma. Whereas if a tumour grows back, I don't know what the protocol is. But I always think, if they can remove everything and leave you with a clean slate, that's great.
New year,
And that's
clean
exactly
slate.
what happened.
Hopefully that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. It's really odd, isn't it? It's like, what, again, all these what ifs pop into your head, and you're just, if you don't stop yourself, you'll just spiral downhill, really. And it's really odd, because essentially, like, prepping for surgery, you're told about all the possibilities, especially with brain surgery. They talk about, you might wake up and you might not be able to move your left side at all, and that's like really difficult to deal with, because you're like, you're hoping for the best but also expecting the worst, kind of thing. They're like, you might not be able to
Which
move
is really
your left
important
side
to
at
expect the
all.
worst.
You might move it a little bit, but if you are able to move it a little bit, then that means it will recover and be completely fine. You could die. There's complications like that where you could die. I mean, like you said, with every surgery there's complications like that. And they're like, you might need a blood transfusion, and are you against that? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, just save my life, please.
I've never had one of them. I really wish I had, because it almost seems quite, it's weird. It's a weird thing to just have a bag of blood there. I feel like that's one thing I haven't done that I can cross off the cancer list.
Yeah, that's. To be fair, I was thinking, well, maybe if they do like a blood transfusion, if I'm a bit anemic at the moment, they'll sort that out. It's fine. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah, because anemia is horrible, isn't it? I can't walk up hills. I just get so short of breath. I'm like, need to sit down for a moment. So anemia is not fun. Get that iron, which is why, like, I was vegetarian for a while, and then my oncologist said the easiest way to get those vitamins, and like red blood cells and everything to boost, like, and get iron essentially, is to just have a really bloody steak. And I just remember being like repulsed by the idea, and then I got so ill, and like from neutropenic sepsis, which I've spoken about, got so ill, and all I wanted was a sausage or a steak. And it's weird, like, your body just does tell you sometimes what it needs, and in that moment it needed blood to boost my iron.
Well, you're gonna make a load of vegans very angry by saying that.
I know I anger myself, but at the same time, I mean, there's no excuse. My body just wanted that, and I'm gonna be inundated with, like, people being like, no, you can get iron from here, or you can get this and this and this, and I'm like,
Kale.
yeah, I'll take that on board. But in that moment, I wanted a sausage.
To be fair,
and I got
I
that
agree with
sausage.
you. When you're on chemo, whatever you want to eat, you should eat, because at the end of the day, what's the most important is you feeling fine, and you're not losing weight, and you're not, like, going to shit, basically.
Weight is such a massive thing. They talk of the most important things that they talk about is your poo, which we all know how annoying that is, having to look at the poo scale and going, yep, 3 or 4, that's normal. They talk about your poo, and they talk about your weight. And I never realised, like, the consequences of them being like, are you losing weight? how is your weight doing? Like if you're gaining weight, they're usually quite happy about that. And then as soon as you say, oh, I've lost weight, they don't even think that it's because you could be doing exercise. They just go, shit, oh my God, please don't lose weight. We don't want that. So when you're in hospital and you're really, really ill, even if you're just eating an ice cream, they're like, as long as you're getting calories, that is good. Keep eating calories and like little things. Because after surgery, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just, like, because it was my stomach, I just didn't eat for about 4 days. My surgery was like pretty much, because you can't eat before, you have to be nil by mouth. And then my surgery finished, I mean, I went in at about 9 and it finished, I came out at like 10 after all of like everything that had gone on, like the prep and everything. So that was a whole day, another day of not eating. So that was 2. And then the 3rd day I was throwing up. The 4th day I was reacting to my anesthetic drip that was inside that you had to yank out because I was like, I don't know, it just went toxic. So that was 4 days of not eating, and then the rest of the week of being in hospital is just like small mouthfuls. So I lost so much weight after coming out. It was ridiculous.
I can imagine. For me, I think the hardest part of this whole surgery, like I said on my vlog, was not eating, because I was on such a high dose of steroids that I was just constantly hungry, like really, really hungry. And you know, the last time I ate was 8 p.m. the night before. Got up at 5, I think, to be in hospital for 7 or 8. And then to have to wait till 4 p.m. in the evening for my surgery. By like 3 p.m. I was there like, oh my God, I just want some food. I'm just so hungry. And I started doing laps around the bloody ward. And I remember when I had to walk to theatre. Luke, get out! Stop ruining.
Liv was like, Miley, Luke, get out. Are you going? Carry on.
Sorry. So when I had to walk to theatre myself. They didn't like wheel me in like a princess. Apparently because of COVID.
It's weird walking.
It is. You're like,
when you walk in, you're just like,
goodbye.
I'm walking myself there.
Goodbye, everyone.
The first time I went in on a bed.
Is going.
Au revoir.
So I sat on the bed. They're like, they just, you know what they do. They always try to chat to you to keep you distracted. So they're like, what do you do? And I was just there like, I'm a full-time cancer warrior at the moment. That's what I said as a joke. And then they were like, oh, do you have a job? And I was like, yeah, I did for about 2 weeks before cancer came back. And
then I
had to quit again. And yeah, we were just chatting. And all I could think of to say to them, there was like 5 of them around me. And one's trying to get a bloody, what is it called? A needle in me. Then another one's asking me questions. Yeah. Are there any chances of you being pregnant or anything like that? And then another one's like by my feet, like putting all these leads on me and whatnot. And I'm just like, guys, please. I'm like, guys, please take good care of me. And they're like, oh, we will. Don't worry, we will. And they're all like just really jolly. And I was just there like, can you put me to sleep now? Because I'm just really hungry. I don't know if I can wait anymore. So they're like, yeah, we got the
it's horrible.
I always want to say, we got the cannula in. So now they give you like this oxygen thing. And he's like, start taking deep breaths. And then like, that's when I started panicking a bit. And I know right before I like passed out, I started going, cancer, cancer, cancer. Cancer's such a bitch. I think I got to the bitch bit and that's it. Then I just passed out.
That's amazing.
Because I really wanted to do that to like calm me down because I started freaking out. And then the next thing I know is 4.5 hours later, I woke up and I was just so out of it because they keep you in the ICU to start with. And I know the surgeon came in and he was like, we managed to get. He was like, hello, Livetta, because he was foreign as well. Fellow foreigner. That's why he proper sorted me
Team.
out.
Solidarity.
Foreigner solidarity. I don't know what that means.
What? What is that song where you like do 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 do? They're like doing all the arm movements. I don't know.
Too much
that
singing.
That's what
Sorry
you're doing
for
anyway.
everyone's bleeding ears. But yeah, so he came out and he was like, we got the whole tumor out, so that's really good. And I was just there like, thank you, doctor, I'm so happy. And I was like extending my arm out to like shake his hand, because in my eyes he's literally a god. I'm like, you literally went inside my head, inside my brain, and you got a tumor out. Like, and I woke up feeling like I was really strong. Looking back at the videos, I'm just like, I was so out of it. But I was just like,
viewer, the videos I got from you, wow. It's just like I ate food and it's just you.
The toast
like, I
one
took a video of
is quite
myself
funny.
after surgery, like redoing my like plugging in my oxygen nose thing, because that had got weird. And I was doing a video, can't even think right now, doing a video, and I noticed it was slightly wonky, and I just stopped and just went, readjusted it. But yours was hilarious. The angle, the food, the munching,
the bit of butter,
bloody brilliant.
I mean, I was really but I was so hungry, and that first bit of toast, you can just see the happiness on my face. There's a bit of butter dribbling down my chin as well, which is lovely. I mean, I did ask for dry toast because I'm not currently consuming dairy products, but I ain't gonna be angry about that. Poor nurses, they were so lovely. Like, everyone was so amazing to me. But one thing I didn't mention in the vlog is how they do the surgery.
Yeah, you did. It's like a whole thing, a whole vlog about brain surgery. You didn't actually speak.
Yeah, the whole vlog is just like, look at me, look at my eye, look how fucked I look. But if I move my headphones back, so
there's your slice. So what we're seeing right now is, if you're listening to the audio and not the video, is we're seeing Liv separate her hairline and trying to point out the incision, but all we're getting is a lot of thick curls. Chemo curl, woo!
So the incision is actually quite long, which freaked me out when I woke up, and I was like, what have they done? And then as it started healing and I got the staples out, I started like tapping on my skull. And I realised I can feel, like, you know, if you tap on your head, you can, like,
I'm
hear it.
tapping on my head right now.
And then there's one spot where I tap and I can't hear anything. So
you're not hollow anymore.
So what's happened? I'm not hollow anymore. So what's happened is they cut, like, from my understanding, anyway, they cut, like, a massive bit of my skin open and, like, ripped it back. And then there's only, like, a little square where they cut my skull to, like, get inside my brain and get to the tumour. And that's the bit where if I tap it, I can't feel it or hear it. So it sounds like, you know, if you're knocking on a wall to check, like, if it's, like, plastered everywhere and it sounds different. So it's the same with my head now. There's that one bit where it's got, like, the metal plate securing my skull down so it heals back. It's pretty cool, to be fair.
In other words, it sounds like when you knock your head, all of it is hollow with no brain, and then there's just one tiny part that has something in it. Otherwise, it's all empty.
Yeah. So there's that one bit where they cut in to go in through to try and get to the tumour, and that bit I can't feel. I mean, so I was feeling it the other day, and it hurts a little bit, but I think it's just where it's healing at the moment. But yeah, it's pretty cool that they were able to do that just for a little hole in my skull. Amazing.
I mean, that is mad. I hold my
crazy.
surgery team in the highest esteem because they are absolutely amazing. Like you say, so like surgical teams don't know how they do it, no matter what part of your body they're operating on. It's mad that they can do that. But just I said, I have no experience of that part of my body, like my head being operated on. So to hear your recounts of it, wow, it just must have been the weirdest atmosphere.
I know, like,
I wish I was a fly on the wall seeing the concentration on your neurosurgeon's face as he tried to do it. Like,
and I mean, it's 4.5 hours. It was his second surgery of the day, and then I was like, in a way, I'm glad my surgery is the second one, because if he had like a bad night's sleep, he's a bit grumpy this morning. But then at the same time, I was like, that's such a long day, because he started at like 8 a.m. and my surgery didn't finish till like 8:30 in the evening. And I was like, dude, he must be knackered. Like,
it's like
every time I've seen my surgeon? Every time I've seen my surgeon since the surgery, I've literally been like, you're literally a god.
Bow down.
And he's like, he's not like, yeah, I know, but he knows he's a fucking god.
He knows there's no modesty there. Yeah. Hair
He's
flip.
like, yes, I know.
I'm great. That's what they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah. And fun fact, he started not practicing. He became a neurosurgeon in 1998, which is the year I was born. So it was like meant to be.
Wow, what fateful encounter.
But no, I'm so super grateful. And it's just so amazing that I've had the recovery that I've had. I still can't believe it. Like, I've had a bit of headaches lately, but I think it's just where it's all healing together. But if that's like the worst that's going to be, I'll take it. Because, you know, people can have seizures, people can have things like, you know, I'm not allowed to drive because there's a risk I'll develop seizures.
I was so worried
I'm
for you.
just super happy.
Really
I mean, everyone was. I'm like, if I would have been like my mum or something like that, I would have shit my pants that whole. Like, everyone was on really high, like, tension the whole day. Because I created when I was diagnosed with this brain tumor, I created a group chat for my whole family, and I was like, I'm sick of sending the same message to everyone over and over again.
Had a family WhatsApp group.
Yeah, so I had a family WhatsApp group, and then the other day I was scrolling through the chat, and I was like trying to find a photo, and I scrolled back to the day of my surgery, and I read all the messages they were sending each other, like being like, has anyone heard anything yet? You know, do you know if Liv's out of surgery yet? Everyone's like, oh, we just, you know, everyone's like putting
Still
really
waiting.
lovely, like, oh, I can't stop thinking about her. And like, I was reading it and I welled up a little bit and I was like, oh my God. So it must have been difficult, like, not knowing, especially being like countries and countries away, you know, not knowing what the hell's going on and people not being allowed into hospital as well. Like, that's so difficult to deal with, because I think there's something to be said about actually being in the hospital and seeing there's professionals and everything like that. And that, I think, like, calms you down a little bit, because then you're like...
Especially for your family, like, the assurances
because they have no idea what it's like.
Of, like, the professionalism of seeing people, like, look after you. It puts their mind at ease. But I guess, my family got that, but yours didn't, because they live miles and miles away.
Yeah, I mean, our healthcare system is crap in Lithuania, to be fair. So, like, I feel like in my family's head, they imagine it the same. I mean, they've not seen it, so they can only imagine it being the same as what they've experienced. So that must be so difficult for them, not knowing exactly what it is here. And yeah, like, it's just really odd. Like, in a way, to be fair, a lot of people are like, oh my God, must be so difficult for you to have to go through this and not being allowed any visitors. But that's all I've known, really.
Well, you're used to... because I said that to you. I said that exact thing of me being like, knowing that I have literally lived off every visitor I got, because I just get so bored, and I just think it for me, it broke up the day a bit. I wasn't concerned with conversation. It was just nice having someone there. Because like I said, I got diagnosed really young. I've relied on my mum, my family members, Luke, everyone to just kind of boost me up. So for me, from my experiences, I was like, oh my God, Liv, how are you going to cope? Because you just don't have anything to really look forward to in your stay. And then you reminded me that that's all you've known since being in England. Everyone, part of your family, is scattered all over the world. So you're used to the FaceTime calls, which I guess is a little bit of a saving silver line, grace whatever,
that's all
because you were used to it.
It's not actually wasn't that hard. Like, in a way, I was a bit like, oh, I wonder what it's like having loads of visitors all the time. Because, like, chemo was the same. I only got, like, 2 chemos in before we got put into lockdown. And then we weren't allowed any visitors. But, yeah, in a way, it was like a saving grace, like you say. But I'm just really so bloody grateful for the doctors. And I'm just amazed at how well everything went. And just, you know, I'm just... You know, I'm the luckiest person in the world that I've had such an easy recovery so far. I'm so glad. I just feel so well.
Like I said, I was so worried because I mean, I just didn't know. I was like, were you gonna have headaches? Were you gonna have, like you said, seizures?
I was so worried I'd be like really bad pain. And what's weird, before the surgery, I was like, should I write like a secret letter to everyone and leave it in the house? Just in case I die, and be like, I've got debt. Can you pay it off, please? This is my credit card pin. this is how you get on my Facebook to delete it and stuff like that.
That's what's weird
And
about
that's
Facebook
really
is they have
weird.
Facebook legacies. Like, you can actually make someone your Facebook legacy
okay.
to be in charge of your Facebook if you die. And it popped up for me the other week, and I was just there like, well, that's put
Is
me in a
this a
great
sign?
mental space. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg. So I was like, my mum can be my legacy person, and then I didn't want to notify her because I was like, well, that's just weird. Like, obviously I don't want to deal with her reaction of me being like, yeah, I've made you the person who
Mum,
like
I'm
deals with my
preparing for my
Facebook
death.
account. Oh yeah, I didn't want to freak her out, and then she somehow got alerted anyway and was like, what's happening? And I was like, it was just an update, Mum. That was it. It was a step to complete my profile. But it's a weird thought because like you said, you will just wake up however many hours later after your surgery.
Yeah.
And you just feel like no time has passed, like time has ceased to exist. So the moment you've gone under, like general
It's the
anaesthetic
weirdest
is
thing
weird.
ever. It feels
But
like you close
yeah.
your eyes and you open your eyes. Like,
So if
it's
you
so
died,
weird.
you really wouldn't know. Like, so it
Exactly,
almost, that's
that
the
was
only
my thought
comforting
as well.
thought. It's comforting
Yeah.
almost. It's like a
And I was
slight reassurance.
I was
that
like,
you
if
would
I
know.
die, I won't know that I died. Or maybe I will
Yeah.
know, but I won't feel any pain and I'll feel easy and better or whatever. And then
Yeah.
you just start thinking about your family, and I was like, my mum would be really sad. You know, how are
Yeah.
they gonna cope? How are they gonna carry on living? That must be so difficult to bury your child. And that was just what really upset me, just thinking about all these
Yeah.
other people that would be sad because I died.
But that's a real before thought. I feel like
yeah.
once you get into the theatre, I never, those thoughts
No.
were out of my mind. It was all, I mean, I've been quite a baby. All my surgeries, I've cried as soon as I got in the operating room because I have to have an epidural, and I get really, really, I don't know what it is. I've gotten to, obviously, I have to have needles everywhere I turn. I'm used to them, but for some reason when it comes to the spinal injection, I just can't. I freak out and I stiffen, and what's difficult is that any other needle you have, a cannula going in, blood test, injection, whatever, you can normally clench and move a little bit and have that little bit of freedom to kind of be like, oh, okay, I'm ready, okay, oh, that was fine. Whereas with a spinal, they really place the emphasis on the fact that you can't move, and it will just be me obviously trying to loosen up, like really get away my nerves, to then be told to sit as still as possible. I get really, really freaked out, so I'd always end up crying, and not helped by the fact that I'm in a butt gown, so if I do move, anyone, they're just going to see my naked ass. So it's really, really weird. But so that's why I just absolutely adore my surgical team, because my anaesthetist, I absolutely love her. She got me sunflowers as well. She grew them in her garden. She knew sunflowers were my favourite flowers, and she gave them to me afterwards. How sweet is that? What an absolute
That is
sweetheart.
so cute.
But I think that's the nicest thing about having so many surgeries, is that I do just request the same people, and hopefully they make it work and they can be my team. But I'm just a mess before surgery. So any thoughts like I've had about like potentially dying, like the fear of it all, just gone. Because in that moment, all I'm thinking about is like, oh my god, there's a spinal, it's going in me.
I've heard that
That's all I
epidurals
think.
are the worst, to be honest.
I get
Because that's
freaked
what you
out.
get when you're giving birth, isn't it? So a lot of women
Yeah.
talk about it and say that it's really not a fun procedure.
It's not
at
fun
all.
to get it done, but it is fun afterwards, because you do just lie there and they're like, can you move your legs? And I'm like, yeah, look at me, they're moving, and then suddenly they're like lead, and I'm like, I can't move my leg, like it feels really weird trying to move it. And then Ruth is saying, right, I'm gonna do your local anaesthetic, so your local anaesthetic's done, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, feel like slightly loopy, but it's just my legs that are dead, not me, so that's cool. And then she goes, right, the general anaesthetic's going in, and obviously general anaesthetic I think burns, which is why you have the local anaesthetic, and she didn't do enough local this time, or I think it was just because my cannula was in my hand, so obviously I had further to travel. I don't know, something went weird, meaning that I felt the general anaesthetic and it burnt my whole arm. It felt like I'd put my arm in a furnace. And so she was like, and you're going to sleep now? And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I love this feeling. Woo. And then suddenly I'm just like, no, I don't. I don't love this. No, this really hurts, actually. No, I'm in a lot of pain. And I just kept saying, actually, as if they just didn't comprehend. As if they weren't comprehending.
And
that I
then
was
you
in
were
pain.
like, I'm out.
And then she was like, no, it's fine, you're gonna go. And I was like, I'm not gonna go, I'm not going, nothing's happening. And she was like, you will. And then I went. and it was fine.
That's
But
hilarious.
there's something to be said for all of the pent up anticipation, anxiety, like signing your life away on all the forms, all the pre-ops, all the drinks. They're like, here you go, drink this, got to get your immune system up, boo. And I'm like, I hate those drinks. But all of that, and then suddenly you're in the operating room and you just forget it
And
all.
it's all very real all of a sudden. You're out
Yeah.
and then you close your eyes. It's the best nap you've ever had. And then you wake
It
up.
really
Literally my
is.
first surgery, because I was, with the menopause, I was really struggling to sleep. And with chemo and steroids, I had the worst sleep in those 6 months ever. I woke up from surgery and I was like, that was the best nap I've had in a long time when I had my breast surgery.
Yeah,
So
I'll
that
tell
was
you
fun.
for why it's the best nap, because after you wake up, you're still tired. So you go back to sleep, and that's why it's good, because you don't wake up and go, I feel rejuvenated, yeah, I got loads of energy, what do? I just sit in a hospital bay all day and stay awake. You don't. You wake up and you're like, I'm going to go back to sleep. Like, I was asleep for like 10 hours, woke up and just went, I'm going to crash out again. And like, I woke up at like 4 a.m, did a weird video of me adjusting my oxygen mask, and then just went, bye, was dead to the world. But it was good because I
apparently
was
after my surgery, I slept a lot as well. But I just, every time I woke up, like in like 3-hour intervals, I'd ring my family and be like, so this happened, this is really funny. And then and they'd be like, okay, like 2 minutes later, I'd be like, I'm really tired now.
Bored
so I'm
now.
gonna go to sleep. I'd be like, bye. And then 2 hours later, apparently, I call them again and be like, you won't
Said
believe
the
what
same
happened.
thing.
This is really funny. And then I tell them the same story. And then I get so tired by like 2 minutes of talking. I'd be like, I'm going to sleep now. Bye.
I
like-
think from what Liam told me, you were very funny.
I'm just hilarious. Aren't
So
I?
you get comedic and like loving, like you want to talk to people. Apparently, I just get really arsey. Like I become so like sassy. I don't even know. I can't remember it, and they've never videoed
Yeah.
it. But my aunt came in, and apparently it's always my mum that gets it, because it's my mum that's always been like, "Are you comfortable enough? Is there anything I can do?"
Yeah.
And apparently I just like let it out. But it does make me laugh, the reactions you have on drugs, like morphine, for example. Apart from
that
making
made me
itch,
weird.
It was great, but it did make me itch really badly. And as soon as you start itching, they have to take you off. So the first time I was itching like crazy, and I didn't know that they would do that, so they took away my buzzer. The next time I had my morphine button, which is basically you press and morphine goes into you. And I was thinking, I could overdose, this is scary. But obviously it's capped, so you can't press it like 10 times. It will only give you one dose. And I didn't get that in my head. So I pressed it 1 minute. 5 minutes later, I'm like, I'm in pain still. So I would press it again incessantly. And I'd just get a nurse coming around being like, you do realise this is only going to administer one dose. It's not going to do more. Please stop pressing it. But like so the second time round when I was on morphine, I was like, don't itch, because they'll take it away from you. And that morphine button was like the best thing ever. I felt so powerful with all this like hardcore drugs. And so I wouldn't itch. And then I think I just itched in my sleep, because I think you probably would have had this as well. Obviously, like, all the monitoring. If they're really concerned about your breathing, because you've been asleep so long, they want to make sure your lungs remember how to work. So if you go into a bit of a deep sleep and slow your breathing down, a machine beeps, which wakes you up.
Oh,
It's so
God, that
counterintuitive,
machine.
because it's like you want to go to sleep, they
I
want you
wanted
to
to,
sleep, but
like,
then it
literally-
wakes you up. What's the point?
I
It's like
wanted
I'm going to
rip
sleep and
off
I'm like
that screen
beep,
and
beep,
smash
beep,
it against
beep.
the wall.
It
Because I was
crap.
so
and then you
relaxed.
have everyone else's.
I was so relaxed, and every time I fall asleep, I would just start going beep, beep, beep.
And you get a nurse
And I'll
coming around
literally
to
be
make
like-
sure you're alive. And
I'll
I'm like,
call
I
the
was just
nurse
asleep,
and be
hon.
like, I was like, nurse, it just keeps going off. She's like, you're too relaxed, Liv. Wiggle around a bit because your heartbeat's too slow. And
It's
I was
all
just
the obs, like the 4 a.m. obs. Oh, it was a
yeah.
nightmare.
It
But
was
the
horrible.
nurse team are lovely. But I think the best thing that happened from my surgery is, drugs and medical procedure aside, I obviously went 24 hours without eating, which was horrible. So I was very hungry. And what I was fantasizing about, the food I was fantasizing about before going in under, was chips. And I was like, I really just want some vinegary chips. So when I woke up, my aunt, being the stand-up gal she is, brought me some chips. Not only one, but 2 whole portions into a ward that's most people are nil by mouth, waiting for surgery. Smells are quite a big thing that are quite aversions to. And she comes in with these chips, and I look at them and I'm like salivating. I'm like, this is amazing. And immediately there's a nurse. I mean, she obviously wasn't having any shit, which is fair enough. But she just clocks the chips and is just like, no, that's not happening. No. She comes over and she's like, this girl doesn't need chips. She can't have, like, greasy foods will just make her sick. She needs good foods. And so I was thinking, you don't know what I need. I need greasy food, good food that I've been dreaming about. I want that. And I ate a chip to spite everyone and threw it up pretty promptly afterwards.
But she was stood there like, I told you.
Yeah, my aunt being like, I was just trying to do a good thing. She really wanted chips. And now I'm looking around and there are loads of people near my mouth and I've just been shouted at by a nurse and it's all just like horrible. And I obviously just threw up, fell asleep and I was fine. But it does make me laugh that don't always get the things that you really want because that's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, have you ever had a catheter actually?
Yes. Weird things.
Ever.
It's amazing,
So
but
weird.
you want it, you need a wee and you're like, I feel like I need to go to the toilet, and then suddenly it's gone. The feeling's gone, and you've just got a warm yellow pouch next to you.
I've never had a catheter before, so when I woke up, obviously it was already like in me.
Yeah,
Weird.
that's the only good thing that you do. It happens. The insertion and the procedure there happens while you're asleep. Because I would not want a catheter.
I feel a bit weird about that because I'm like, you went down there whilst I was asleep. Excuse me. Did I ever say you could?
That's what I mean with the butt gowns. I'm like, at some point, someone's going to see my tits, my vagina. Like, they had to literally cut half down, like, down to my pubic bone.
Yeah,
like, I woke up and my,
like, head. Get off there. Like, why are you down there? But it was weird. Like, I woke up and I was drinking so much water, which is really, really good. They gave me, like, this sippy cup and they put a straw in it and I was just there, like, the whole time.
Live the 4-year-old.
Can you refill it, please? Refill.
Some juice, please.
Yeah, and, what was I saying? Yeah, so the first time that I needed a wee, I was there like, oh, God, I really need a wee. And they were like, it's okay, Liv. It's okay, Liv. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can get up and walk to the toilet. They're like, it's okay, we put a catheter in. You can go for a wee and it'll just go into this box next to your bed. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, God, I really need to go. And then I couldn't go because obviously till you're sat on the toilet, like,
you don't release.
You don't know, like, you can't, like, let it go. Do you know what I mean?
You don't contract your bladder. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it just flows out.
I just sat there for a minute, like, I was like, I don't think I can go. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going. And she literally went, oh, yeah,
I think you are. I think you've gone, actually.
And I had to, like, imagine that I'm sat on the toilet to let myself pee properly. So that's a tip. If you ever get a catheter, just imagine you're sat on the toilet. But I know you're saying how much you love morphine. When I had my toast, because I've not eaten in so long, my stomach literally bloated out and it felt like it was going to explode because obviously I had loads of gas. So I was just there like a granny just farting away. Like
you do get gassy. They are like literally they place so much emphasis on the importance of farting after surgery. Yeah. They just want you to fart. Because it's the like I said with like the breathing machine. They've put you to sleep. They like if you're farting, it means that your bowel is like woken up, and they do need you. They need it to. They need to know that everything's kind of woken up and is working properly. But you do. God, the amount of gas in you, like it feels like you were just a gaseous bubble about to blow up. Like I was just every night I was like farting, and I had to have a fan next to me because of the menopause, and I was like, thank God for this fan making like a noise and otherwise silent bay, so at least if I'm because you're so out of it, you're delirious. Like fentanyl, oh my God, was a league above morphine, like on the weird spacey hallucinogen effect. So I was just like I didn't know what was going on half the time, but at night I was acutely aware of the fact that I would just wake up and just be like and then another one. And I looked across because I'd made my friend Denise, across on the bay. And I looked up and I was like, I really hope she didn't hear that. And then she just did the same. And I was like, lovely solidarity at night.
That's hilarious. So with morphine for me, because my mum, sorry, it's just
like another fly. She just waves randomly. And I'm like, I'm still here.
Oh God! So because I was in so much pain, I was literally rolling around in the bed, like, oh my God, this is really bad. Yeah. Oh, someone help me! Someone do something! Because I was literally sweating from the pain. Because these contractions were like, come on. And I was just in so much pain. The nurse came over and she said, I can give you some morphine by mouth. And I was like, I really don't want morphine. I said, you know, my mum reacted really badly to it after surgery before. And I was just like, I'm really worried. I was like, I don't want it. And then she was like, oh, go on, try a little bit. I'm sure it'll help you, you know, because I'll only give you a little tiny bit. Because if it will help, you know, they'll feel much better. So she gave me some. And like,
and then you became
almost
an addict.
instantly, I just felt so much better. So I called again. I was like, can I have the rest of it, please? I said, I do feel much better, but I've got a little bit of pain. I didn't realise what, like, it really, like, messes you up. And I just slept till the next day then. And then the next morning, what are they called? The physios. The people that
physiotherapists. Just the physios.
the physiotherapists came around. They're like,
this is why we don't say hippopotamus, we say hippos. Shorten it.
We were like, they were like, oh, should we go for a walk, Liv? And I was just so worried this whole time because I had the catheter. I didn't have to get out of bed. I was really out of it, so I didn't have to like walk to the toilet or anything. And the whole time at the back of my mind, I was thinking, can I move my legs? Will I be
I was going to say that's
walk?
Probably a big thing for you, isn't it? Your left side, you wanted to make sure that works.
I was able to like wiggle around in the bed, but I just felt really weak. And you know, I was like, yes, totally, let's go for a walk. And I literally sat up on the bed, like on the side of the bed, and I was like, can you find my slides, please? And they were like looking for the slides, and whilst they were looking for the slides, I literally went. And they're like, Liv, we think we're going to come back later because you're a bit sleepy still. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go back to sleep now. And then when they came back in the evening, I was actually out for my MRI. I fully was out of it for the whole first day because of the morphine.
That's common.
Not morphine. What is it called?
General anesthetic.
No, the other drugs. The painkillers. The ones you had on a button.
What?
The ones you had on a button. Is it morphine?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm going mental.
I was going to say, what drugs are you having?
And then, so it was really weird because in the evening, I had to go for my MRI and I was like, I'm not going to get out of bed. Just wheel me out, please, with the bed. And then they had to like transfer me on this like slidey thing from my bed to the MRI machine. Those poor men having to lift me up because I was just so out of it for the whole day. I literally couldn't get up. I couldn't walk. And I was like really freaked out because I was like, oh my god, I can't walk, I can't move. And like at the back of my mind, I was just like, oh god, this is really...
I freaked out because I was like, obviously I had an incision down my stomach, which is your core. So when they came round, it was literally the first time I was operated on, first time I had surgery, they came round in the evening because it wasn't as long an operation. I think it was only 3 hours. So they came round in the evening just before I was going to sleep, and I'd just had to deal with massive panic attack of having Clexane. Don't know if you had that, the blood thinner. Really bloody hurts. It's horrible. It's not like it's a big needle, it just like bruises you, and you just have to have it every night, and it's just not a nice way to go to sleep after having like a relaxing day of just throwing up and going to sleep. You don't want any more stress. So when the physios came around after that nightmare, they were like, can you move your knees up to your chest? Can we do that now? Can we try and sit up? Can we do this? Can we do that? I just remember having another panic attack, being like, why are you trying to make me move? Like, obviously I can't. It really hurts. Like, go away. I was quite a child about it, or a bit of a baby. But so yeah, every single physio time, you'd have thought I'd have learned, but every time I've seen the physio and they've asked me to put my knees to my chest, I'm like, no. Except on my last surgery, I knew they were going to ask me that. So as soon as I woke up, I went, I'm going to do it myself. And literally brought my knees up and went, I'm fine. And then went back down. And then obviously forgot that it was the reason I could do that was because it was all of the drugs I was on, general anaesthetic still there. Everything was still in my system. So then when they came around the next day and asked me to do it, I was like, oh, I've already done it. Tried to do it and went, oh my God. Because I was on like way less drugs. So don't think you're better than the physios. It's a weird time. like we say, time ceases to exist. You go in, you come out, you feel like you've just had the biggest operation in the world. And then they turn around and say, yeah, you can go home in a couple of days, depending if you're all right. So they said I could go home in like 4 days. And then I had a temperature, so it ended up being a week. But I was like, you've just cut me open and handled all my organs and like put me back together. How am I ready to go back in like 100 hours? That's ridiculous. No, I feel like I need to be on constant watch. And my mum would always be like, no, you need a temperature now because I need you to stay here another 3 days because I don't know what to do with you at home. Like, I need to know that you're not having any more random pain bouts or any more like reactions to like meds. I want you to be like in a near enough perfect condition to take care of you.
And that's the
home.
thing, being in a hospital is just something so reassuring because you're like, oh,
you're surrounded by
anything
care.
happens, there's nurses and doctors.
You got your button. You got your
my
buzzer.
little buzzer here, yeah. I mean, I was out of hospital really, really fast. Surgery was on Thursday, I think. And that was out on Sunday lunchtime, really.
Bloody hell, that's quick.
Really fast,
turnaround.
which I was really glad about because I was just like, I just want to go home and enjoy my time before Christmas and like just sit in the living room with a fire on and just lovely and nice.
Be cozy rosy.
But at the same time, I was a bit like, oh my God, what if I start like having seizures or whatnot?
Liam's not exactly qualified.
It's been really funny. Every time I'm upstairs and I make a bang noise, he like runs over to the stairs. He's like, Liv, you're right.
Assess the danger.
And he's just panicking. He's like, you've not keeled over yet, have you? And I'm just like, no, I'm fine, Liam. I'm not having a seizure. I mean, don't get me wrong. The first few days, I had to have a shower, like sat down, like I got like a garden chair I put in the shower. And that's like my main piece of the advice is listen to your body and take it easy and make sure you recover properly. Because I never did that. I've been a stubborn idiot. And I'm just like, no, I'm fine. I just need to carry on as normal now. But this time round, I've really like taken, like even now, like today we filmed 2 podcasts and I'm a bit like, I'm ready to go to sleep now.
Now we're zonked.
Zonked as hell. So that makes me think like I've been thinking about like going back to work earlier and stuff like that. But actually I'm like, no, I need
your
to
body
this
time.
Recovery time and make sure I'm
It's so
recovering fully.
important.
Because I'm only going to make it like worse for myself if I don't recover properly and go back to work. And then it's just going to be frustrating and disappointing for me. So
it's one of those, like you're saying now that you've got a cough that you think might be like residual COVID effects or whatever. And that's kind of exactly what it's like after surgery. You've had so many drugs going through your system that will stay in there for months. And like, so that's why people say like even a year after they've had surgery and they just find suddenly they just feel whacked. And it's like, general anesthetic doesn't wear off as quickly as you think. Like you bounce back. You feel like you bounce back sooner because as soon as you start, like your body's repaired itself to the extent that it is going to. Like especially like after healing your incision or whatever, like your body does heal quite quickly, and then you have that initial like, oh, okay, I've got loads of energy now because I'm healed, and then you forget that obviously the longevity of having things happen to you like that is gonna really take its toll, and it takes a lot longer. So I think that's my excuse for why I'm so tired. I'm like, imagine all the drugs that have gone through me that aren't out yet.
I mean the chemo especially, like that just lasts absolutely ages, doesn't it? But just take it easy, one day at a time. Don't forget the doctors looking after you are professionals and they will always try to do their absolute best to make sure you're in the best hands possible. It's natural to be nervous, to be fair. Well, my psychologist said it would be weird if you weren't nervous about it. And then when I wasn't nervous about it, that's why I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm definitely.
I think
dying
you're right.
in
I think
surgery.
you should be nervous because nerves are so good because it prepares you mentally. If you don't have those nerves, by the time you get there, you might end up freaking out. Whereas at least if you've done your freaking out, you're fine.
Yeah,
and then you can just freak out like me by a needle.
It's your brain's way of protecting you because it's something you've not experienced before. You're stepping in a completely like new zone where it's out of your control because you're just there asleep being treated. So it's completely normal to be nervous about it and to be to be having different thoughts going through your head. But the most important thing is rationalizing it and being like, well, the chances of death aren't that high, and then if I do die, I won't know. And then, and then obviously comes the whole family part of it. But then you're like, I won't be there to see that, so it ain't my problem, really.
No. Yeah.
But, rationalize your thoughts. And again, like I said before, writing really helps. So I've written it. I've not gone back and read my thoughts before surgery. It's kind of scary for me to go and read it back a little bit.
But at least you kind of got it on paper.
Yeah,
first,
so I
anyway.
put everything on paper. And rationalized all the fears. Well, the fears I had the first time round, anyway.
Yeah.
And having the support and the positivity of other people is really important. And at the same time, I wish I had someone to be like, I'm a bit worried I might die in this surgery, and that's really natural. But it's difficult to speak to like your loved ones about it because because obviously
freak them out.
You don't want to freak them out. And like, in a way, I often put on a brave face in front of my family because they just all completely freak out all the time. So that's not something I had the choice of. But sometimes it's if you have someone to talk to, and if you are worried about death, I think it would really help talking to someone about it and being like, actually, there's a real risk of me dying. Oh, Frankie's joined the chat. Hello. There's a real risk
He's heard you say dying too many times, and he's like, no, please don't go anywhere.
Yeah. There's a real risk of this happening. Especially, I think, with any surgery, I suppose there could be complications and things. And it's completely natural to think about that. And if it will put your mind at ease, if you want to prepare, let's say, a letter or anything like that, to, like, help out your family if you do end up dying. I just said that really easily, like, no big deal, you died.
If you do end up dying, whatever, you won't know. But I think you're right.
Yeah.
What works for one person doesn't work for the next. So if you feel like you want to write stuff down and like almost cover your tracks, but to someone else that's really weird, that doesn't matter. It's really
but
how
nobody
you deal
has
with
to
it.
know about it, and you can just like hide it away somewhere in your house. And
Yeah.
if you end up being fine, like, you can just come back.
It doesn't matter. I've never really thought about that before, I must say.
This is my level of overthinking, Vez. Like,
yeah,
I was there like, I need to write a will for my for my shitty car that's not got any MOT and just sat in a parking lot.
It's a weird, I think put your trust in the professionals. That is their job to save your life at the end of the day, and give you the best care. And I think so far that's exactly what we've got with surgery. It's never, like, luckily nothing's ever gone drastically wrong. We've encountered our fair share of complications, but they've never been excessively bad. Like, it's always been manageable. And I just think while you're in hospital, if you, like, nurses they're not just there to, like, change your catheter or whatever. Like, I always talk to mine because it helps them do their jobs if they know how you're feeling and what you're scared of or what. Like, if they didn't know I was scared of Clexane, then they'd just come up with a needle, bash it in, bop, done, because it's just a job. Whereas if they know that I'm nervous about it, then they can just come and, like, they always give me half an hour. They come in over and they're like, right, we'll go do your Clexane injection if you just, like, get your nerves out, and I'll come back in half an hour. And then they give you suggestions. Like, one nurse said, hold your side, like, squeeze your side, and instead of doing it in your stomach, which is where you're meant, like, they do it, like, either side of your stomach. She said, well, I can do it on your, like, muffin pouch because you naturally have fat, like, fatty tissue on your hips. So she was like, just do it there if you hold it. And then I got myself into a position where I was like, if I hold it for like a minute before, I'll numb the skin. And it's just finding what works for you, like, with things like that. And just don't, also, key point here, don't hate on paracetamol. Like, I always, in my head, I'm like, paracetamol's shit. Like, after you've had, like, morphine, fentanyl, tramadol, anything like that, but just don't forget about paracetamol, because it is building it up. Like, if you build it up over hours and hours and hours, it starts working. And I always struggle to take my meds in the morning because I get really weird, like, taste in my mouth, like, when I haven't slept, and I just feel really sick if I drink on an empty stomach. So I just try and have a bit of food where you can, and then take your meds. That's so important. Don't forget about them. I always forget about them. Go to sleep and ring your buzzer. Buzzers are there to be rung.
I
Oh, that's
set my
clever.
alarms for my drugs because when I came out of brain surgery over Christmas and everything like that, I've got one tablet I have to take every day, which goes in line with
Yeah.
my Zoladex and my menopause. It's like the
Yeah.
anti-cancer tablet or whatever. And I have to take it every day. Right? And the other night I opened my bedside table and I saw the tablets there and I was like, shit, I've not
Ooh.
taken this for like 4 or 5 days, I think. Because it
Yeah.
completely like just...
Slips your mind. I haven't
Yeah.
had to set an alarm for a tablet since I was on the pill. Because that's like such a common thing, isn't it? If you're on the pill, you set an alarm. I haven't done that. Out of that, I don't care enough about pills for that.
No,
set
I saw
alarms.
the
I
other
probably
day
should.
about the tampon tax being like diminished, abolished in
Yeah.
Scotland, and I was like, if I were like normal, I'd be so happy about that. But actually, it's not really relevant to me anymore. Hashtag
I know, it's so difficult.
premature menopause. I'm like,
I was like, yeah, go, tampon tax gone, woo, go all those women who actually use these products, whereas me, doesn't affect. But
I'm really glad to be hanging out with you again, but I'm ready for a nap now.
yeah,
Are you?
I think that's it. Naps are important.
Nap time,
To catch you on the rebound.
not the relapse.